I call this upon the rise of the public hearing system. Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Clerk, the City Council Committee on Finance, upon the rise, it's June 23rd, 2020, approximately 2:10 a.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Can you announce that it's upon the rise of the June 22nd?
Oh, it's upon, this meeting is upon the rise of the June 22nd public hearing that started 5 o'clock yesterday and finished approximately 2 o'clock a.m. on the 23rd.
Chairman John J. Igliozzi.
Present.
Vice Chairman Joanne Ryan.
Present.
Chairwoman. Councilwoman Carmen Castillo is absent. Councilwoman Helen DeAnthony.
She's muted.
Present.
Councilman James Taylor.
Here.
You have 4 present and 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that President Sabina Matos is present. Chief of Staff is present. Deputy Chief of Staff Communication is present also. We also have Mr. Larry Mancini. So, Mr. Clerk, is the city solicitor present? Guys, if I missed them?
Hold on. Councilor Miller was joining.
Okay.
I did invite the solicitor.
I see President Matos in Miller's video, though.
Let me double check and get them.
That's President Matos's video.
Did you invite Jeff or Shepard?
You need to rename it. That's all. Just rename the video. See the video?
Okay, you're right.
Just got to rename the video. Okay. All right. While you're renaming it, can we read the first item into the docket? Assuming on the agenda, please.
Item 1, an ordinance amending ordinance number 336 of chapter 2019-83 adopted July 9, 2019, providing for the assessment and collection of 2019 taxes in a sum not less than $351,826,648 and not more than $357,984,559, being based on 100% of the 2019 to 2020 fiscal year tax collections and setting the rates for fiscal year 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can we, I know we have Mr. Mancini from the administration, the CFO. Can you swear him in, please?
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Mr.
Lawrence J.
Mancini?
Mancini, Chief Financial Officer, City of Providence.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mancini, very quick, on item number 1, this is just the levy that's part of the proposed fiscal year budget.
That is correct, sir.
The second is the levy. Is there a tax increase in this levy compared to last year's levy?
There is not.
Is it the same, less, more? Can you just very briefly tell us what the levy says?
I can, sir. So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, good morning, and thank you for your attention to this matter. The levy, as it has been submitted, the proposed levy is predicated on identical rates from the 2019 budget. There has been no change in rates. There has been no change in the 40% homestead exemption. And while the levy ranges is predicated on the maximum cap permitted by law, we are not anywhere near that cap as approved by the Rhode Island Division of Municipal Finance in accordance with the ad that was provided and placed in the Providence Journal, given the 10-day notice for this public hearing, as well as for the consideration of the budget. In this particular case, consideration of the levy. Levy is a no tax rate change to the budget.
So, Mr. Mancini, is it fair to say that the constituents that we all represent will see the same tax rate and same tax bill that gets issued next few months that they receive?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
This evening before the Finance Committee, We just have the levy, but we don't have the spending plan, which is the appropriation, comp, and classification. Okay.
That is correct.
And as we stated before, in the past, usually we try to keep it bundled together.
That's correct.
Pass everything out at one time. Now, this evening, I just want to just confirm for the record that the administration concurs with the proposal to pass out the levy and get it approved at this time with no tax increase. It's identical from the last year's levy. And that we will be withholding the spending plan at this time until we get a little more information and better information from the state government and the federal government in the upcoming weeks. So then we can modify the spending portion of the budget. Is that correct, Mr. Mancini?
That is correct, sir.
And the administration has no objection to this. Is this correct, Mr. Mancini?
No objection and in full support.
Right. And then at that time, the goal will be at the end, when we do pass the spending plan, it's going to be less than what's being submitted before the finance committee right now. We will have to cut the spending plan.
Any changes to the appropriation predicated by changes in pass-through revenue for state or federal revenues will certainly result in any reduction in the appropriation based on a comparable amount of budget reductions if necessary, yes.
And it seems that it's be appropriate that if we pass the budget and all the articles in this upcoming fiscal year, that if it has a budget surplus for the sake of conversation, which means there's more revenue than spending at this time, because of the tenuous financial nature of the cities, the state, and the federal government, as well as the world, that us by creating a buffer will give us some balance moving forward to handle the managing of the budget if we don't obtain those types of revenues. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Because at this time, we're unsure, for example, of the meal tax, the hotel tax,
That's correct.
revenues from the state, the pilot, the car tax reimbursement. So all those things right now are still up in the air, and we will not have any definitive answers until probably almost to the late July. Is that fair to say?
That is correct. That is correct.
So I just want to make sure I lay it out for the committee. Committee members, do you have any questions on what Mr. Mancini has spoken about, what we just talked about?
No, Mr. Chair.
No.
Do we all understand and have a sense of agreement of this would be the financially prudent way to go at this time? Does any committee members feel that?
Yes,
the opposite
Mr.
of
Chair.
that?
Yes.
Vice Chair,
Yeah.
Councilman Anthony,
Yes.
Councilman Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Mancini, do you have anything else you want to add at this time?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you for that opportunity, and you are exactly correct. This evening, we'll be passing the levy out of committee. Once it secures second passage, it will follow that city's tax bills will go out, which is necessary to continue and stabilize the city's cash flow. And as you have said, we will work off of what's known as continuing authority on the appropriation side, which means we cannot spend any greater than last year's budget, reduced by those things that we believe are appropriate to reduce. And the city will be working off a series of mandatory minimum essential spending only during the months of July, August, and if necessary, September, or to whatever date until an appropriation ordinance is approved by the council. So,
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mancini, even if the council does approve, let's say, the appropriation portion of the budget, let's say early August, based on the tenuous financial situations occurring right now that we're all facing, we can always amend and shift that appropriations portion as the fiscal year progresses, not the levy.
Absolutely.
The appropriations portion, correct? So if more
That's
levy
correct.
come in, then we can talk about how we can maybe spend it or not spend it. Is that correct?
that is correct.
My council colleagues, my ones that have been on the council, the new ones, to know that process is a malleable process about the spending portion, that is, not the levy. The levy will stay it's in stone.
That
for
is
the
correct.
fiscal year. We don't amend it, we can't change it for the upcoming fiscal year. But
Right.
spending plan, we can modify it based on the circumstances that we all will be facing the upcoming months. Is that correct, Mr. Mancini?
That is correct. And Mr. Chairman, I might just say for the record, while you had mentioned in your opening remarks that ordinarily best budget practices would require that we would adopt simultaneously an appropriation with the tax levy. I can recommend to this council, this finance committee, that given the current conditions of the pandemic and the fact that we're waiting on word from the General Assembly and federal government on what those appropriations might look like, this is in fact a prudent move, so that it's a no tax rate change in the budget, but it allows for the dissemination of tax bills, which will pave the way for revenue to continue the cash flow necessary for the city. So, in my opinion, sir, and members of the committee, this is a prudent move this evening or this morning to get the levy out of committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mancini. Any comments or questions by committee members?
No,
No.
Mr.
Council members, Madam President? Okay.
You're muted.
Madam President?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to you and to Larry also for giving his testimony. We're just making this decision because it's a more prudent decision to ensure the financial health of the city of Providence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that Councilwoman Miller? Councilwoman Miller, do you have anything you want to say?
I don't. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Miller. With that, do we entertain a motion this time by committee members?
So moved.
Second.
Is that a motion to recommend approval item number 1, Vice Chair?
Motion to recommend approval of item number 1.
Do you have a second by Councilman Taylor?
Second.
Councilwoman
Yep.
Anthony?
Yes.
All right. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, goes to the full council. There's no other business before this honorable committee, is that correct, Mr. Clerk?
That is everything on the agenda.
Thank you. Do a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion adjourned by Vice Chair, second by Councilman Taylor, Councilwoman Anthony.
Yes.
Thank you all, by the way, staying up, getting up early this morning, actually staying up all night long. You're doing good work. We still have more hard work ahead of us and more long hours of committee meetings. So I want to thank my committee. I know it's been tough, but put your helmet on and we got to keep on rolling, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a great night.